All right, so the trick to writing inequalities, look for the word is, because that's going to be where the inequality symbol is. All right, so for number 15, I have the word is, and then it says is less than. So whatever we have is going to be less than 9. Now I say 2 less than a number. I don't know what the number is, so that's going to be x, and 2 less than that is going to be taking 2 away from that number, right? For number 16, it says is no more than 2. And when you say is no more than, what you're really saying is that at most it could be 2, but it couldn't be bigger than. So it has to be less than or equal to 2. All right. Now over here when they say the difference between a number and 3, they're just saying you have some number, and when you take the difference, you're subtracting. Okay? So x minus 3 is less than or equal to 2. For number 17, when they say is more than, well, that means is greater than. So whatever we have is greater than 4. We're here saying the sum of a number and 8. So whatever the number is, sum means addition. So add 8, and it's going to be bigger than 4. And last but not least, when they say is less than, then they just straight up told us that on the left side of the equation, like this side right there, that has to be less than 13. So 2 more than a number. So more than means, okay, we have some number. 2 more than that means we are adding 2. All right, now the way that you solve these is the same as when you're solving in a one-step equation. We've done plenty of those. We even did 3 of these inequalities on Friday. So I'm going to leave the solving part to you guys. Okay, so for this one, you have to be careful because it says equations word problems. So you're going to be using the equal sign. You're not going to be using like a less than or a greater than or anything like that. It's going to be the equal sign for this one because it's an equation. Okay. All right, so they're saying that a cup of brewed tea has 54 milligrams less caffeine than a cup of brewed coffee, right? So if you have a cup of coffee, take away 54 milligrams of caffeine, and that's how much caffeine is in a cup of brewed tea, okay? So there's our equation, but they want to know how much caffeine is in a cup of coffee. So we don't know what C is, but they did tell us the number for brewed tea. That's actually 66 milligrams. So we're going to substitute 66 for the brewed tea. And coffee, you can find that by saying, okay, well, 66 is equal to your coffee, subtract 54, and now you can just solve this one-step equation. I will leave that to you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, you read this question, and the bottom line is that they want us to write an addition equation that we could use to find the lifespan of a zebra, and then we're going to solve it. You look in the table, because you're supposed to use the table for this info, and they don't give us the lifespan of a zebra, okay? But here's what they do tell us. They say that the lifespan of a black bear is 3 years longer than the lifespan of a zebra. Again, this is an equations problem, so don't write an inequality. So whatever the lifespan of the zebra is, you add 3 years to that, and that's going to equal the lifespan of your bear, okay? All right. There's your equation problem. I'll leave it to you. Oh wait, what am I saying? Okay, we have to look in our table to find that the bear, the black bear specifically, has an 18-year lifespan. So 18 is equal to the lifespan of the zebra plus 3. From there, you guys can figure it out. Okay, everyone, let's just address the elephant in the room. This is a very challenging problem. But when you get down to it, they're just asking us to write an equation. Specifically, they want us to find the difference, okay? Let's think about this, right? To find the difference of the amount of hours teens spent online in Pittsburgh compared to the amount of time that kids spent online in the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area is going to be the Pittsburgh kids minus let's just use M, okay? The Miami-Fort Lauderdale kids. That's what difference is, okay? D means to subtract. Now you might say, but wait a minute, they said write an addition equation. Well, guys, if you're doing addition, it's the same thing as, subtraction, is the same thing as adding a negative, okay? So this is technically an addition problem. We're just adding a negative. and you could use that to find the difference between them. Now, here's the thing. We know how many hours the teens in Pittsburgh spent online. They told it to us. It was 15.8 hours, right? And we also know the amount of time that the teens in the Miami-Fort Lauderdale spent online because they told that to us. That was 14.2. So 15.8 plus a negative 14.2 is an addition equation that you could use to find the difference in the hours that they spent online. That one was challenging, I ain't gonna lie, but we did it together. Now, you guys, I want you to try problem 24. It's also challenging, but you guys can do it. Okay, now it's up to you guys to actually solve this and then find the difference. Okay, guys, so admittedly, these problems, I didn't even include 29 to 30. They're a little bit more challenging to set up. However, the math is not the challenging part. It's the setup. Fortunately for us, we have our handy-dandy key at the very, very top for what we can use for these problems. All right, so to set this up shortly, for number 25, we want to look for one of the key phrases up at the top of the page, like I just highlighted. And as I'm reading it, it says that Luell is driving from Melbourne to Pensacola, a distance more than 500 miles. So there's your keyword, more than. So that means that your inequality that you're going to write is going to be more than, which means greater than, 500 miles. So you continue reading. It says after driving 240 miles, Luella stops for lunch. You want to write an equation to see how much further she has to drive. So it's like, all right, well, look, she drove 240 miles, but how much more does she have to drive? We don't know, so we're going to go plus D, okay? For number 26 now, right, you can read this all you want, but we're setting up an inequality here, and if you read it, you find this key phrase where it says at least, and that's the greater than or equal to symbol. So that's going to be greater than or equal to $50, okay? And they want to know how much more cash Desmond should put in his wallet. It says he started out, he has $5, but how much more cash? So it's going to be plus C, all right? So we can leave it at that. All right, number 27 is probably, in my opinion, I think this one is the hardest one to set up, but it's not any harder to solve once you do set it up. Here's how it works, okay? When they say that there's space for 120 students, that means that at most you can seat 120 students. You can't seat 121 kids, there's not enough room. So at most, and at most is the less than or equal to symbol. So everything has to be less than or equal to 120. All right, let's keep on reading. It says currently there's 74 students that have signed up, and we want to know how many more students can sign up. So you have your 74 plus your additional however many students. That's the letter S, by the way, that right there. So long as it is less than or equal to 120. Okay. All right. Number 28. Again, you read it and you find the expression at most. How about that? So I know that it has to be less than or equal to, according to my key, it has to be less than or equal to 70. You already selected 45 minutes of music, but they want to know how many more minutes of music can you select. So how many more minutes? So long as it adds up to 70 or something less than 70.